My name's Kate Waldridge. I'm actually a staff nurse. I usually work on the stroke unit on F8, but at the moment I'm working with the learning disability and autism team just until I get to my maternity leave. I'm autistic. Being autistic can make it quite difficult to fit in the workplace. I think most people are aware that autism exists, but actually few have the knowledge to understand the different ways in which an autistic mind actually works. So it can lead to a lot of judgments and misinterpretations of things that are actually just natural autistic communication and behaviours. Being autistic actually gives me the right to reasonable adjustments in the workplace, and it can be misinterpreted as maybe giving one person special treatment, but I think what's often not recognised by neurotypical people is just how much us autistic folk actually have to adjust to fit into their way of being all the time. It's really and truly it's exhausting, and for me that's probably the main hidden difficulty of being autistic in life and in the workplace. I think the main thing that I need is, it's quite a difficult one to quantify, and that's just understanding acceptance of my autism. So not being treated like there's something wrong with me, but rather accepting that my brain works differently to the more common or the neurotypical type of brain. So this can mean that what I need to survive, let alone thrive in the workplace, would be quite different to the majority. And it's not because I'm being difficult or making it all about me or overreacting and all the things that people often say, but it's actually just because I'm experiencing the world in quite a different way. Since getting my diagnosis, I was able to have some neurodiversity coaching through Access to Work. So basically I had 8 one-to-one sessions with my neurodiversity coach, and then also a joint session with my coach and my manager. So this type of coaching has helped me to understand how my autistic brain works and to be proud of that. It's really helped me to cement my belief that actually having a brain that works differently can be a really positive contribution to a team. And it also helps me to advocate for myself. I have a set roster. Routine is really important to me when it comes to managing my disability, both at work and in my home life. In my clinical role, I also work nights, so this saves quite a lot of energy when it comes to reducing sensory input and social bombardment. And it's simple things like it also means I get to spend my break alone, recharging, so I've got control over my environment rather than just in a busy, sociable staff room. Processing change, for example, if the roster changes at the last minute and I'm going to be in charge, or if I'm going to have a student to mentor, then the more notice I can have, the better, so then I can prepare for that change in role. I think even just a text message like 20 minutes before I turn up, rather than having to process that change in front of other people, if I can do it privately, then people don't have the opportunity to misinterpret my response. I was actually late diagnosed. I finally got my autism diagnosis at 36. Prior to having my diagnosis, I actually spent immeasurable amounts of energy just trying to mask and hide my differences, and that made me quite unwell physically and mentally. So then when my diagnosis happened, that actually brought me all the answers that I was looking for, and for the first time didn't actually feel like I had something wrong with me. I'm autistic. And there's other people like me out there, and I was actually lucky enough to learn everything that I know about myself from my autistic peers. So despite the many challenges and difficulties that come with having a brain that, well, few people really understand the complexities of, I have a pride in my identity. So I feel like I've got nothing to hide for the first time in my life. I think being able to explain myself in terms of my neurodiversity means that I have a better relationship with my peers and management, and I've had the opportunity to show that having that level of understanding and acceptance and having adjustments in place, it keeps me well, it keeps me at work, and it gives me a chance to show my strengths as well. I think the best thing that's happened since being able to share my diagnosis is that I've had the opportunity to work with the learning disability and autism team. And if you want to experience understanding and acceptance in the workplace, then they'd really be the gold standard. So I feel really lucky to have had that opportunity. The main thing that I would say is that I do acknowledge my privilege in terms of being able to be in a safe space to share my diagnosis. I'm always keen to point out that I'm just one voice amongst many, and my story is just my story, it's unique to me. I always hope that sharing my experiences will help others, and I do try and use every opportunity that I have to try and educate people about autism. One bit of advice that I always say is, in my personal experience, when I share my diagnosis with others in the workplace, I always make sure to talk in terms of strengths and challenges. So, for example, having a brain that processes the world differently means I can offer a unique perspective, but it can also be quite difficult to make my perspective understood. There are some good resources and links on the National Autistic Society website about sharing your diagnosis in the workplace, and I would definitely recommend accessing those if you're able to. I think it's also really important to be aware of what resources are available in your workplace, and that will help you to protect your rights and to protect you from discrimination.